Hello and welcome. I'm Peggy. Thank you for letting us share a part of your day. And I hope that this program will have special meaning for you if you have time to sit down and watch. Dr. Roger Rhoades is here. And Roger Rhoades is a very outstanding person to me. And when he talks to you, he makes things that many people stumble over. He makes it simple and so that you think, I could do that. I could incorporate that into my lifestyle. Roger Rhoades.
Oh, Peggy, good to see
love
you.
you. Thank you
Good
for
to be
coming.
here.
Yeah. And you said today you want to talk about families.
Yeah, I think that one of the things I'm seeing more and more of is people minimizing the influence of family when you and I sit down and the first thing we start with is how we grew up, how we were raised, what our people, I love that, our people were like. You got people, I got people. I come from old Okie Indian people. You came from Kentucky people, Kentucky gentlemen
Good
people.
old,
Yeah.
solid kind of people.
Right, and it meant something. We were talking about your word meaning something, your reputation meaning something, and that what we're concerned about is that loss, is that when people are so wrapped up in electronics, so wrapped up in pleasing everybody and jumping through hoops, that they don't connect with the family. And they're really losing something in that. I mean, it's really good for us, and we do it every time we're together. We go back to our families. Who raised us? How did they raise us?
Talk about old times.
Yeah, even when I talk to my sister who lives in El Paso, Texas, okay? You know what we talk about? Getting fresh donuts at the donut shop with our dad. That was a great memory for her and I. Yeah. And we can, even though we're in our 60s and we're thousands of miles apart, we can immediately connect with, oh, remember those donuts? And both of us are right there in that donut shop because that's, our dad worked for the paper. And so he would always go by and they would open up the door if he came by, because he was a newspaper man and they knew him. And even I can remember going to school and people not calling me my name, but calling me Charlie's boy. Aren't you Charlie's boy? And that was my identification. That was where I fit in.
And you didn't resent that. You were proud of it.
Oh, man, you better believe it, because my dad was a hardworking newspaper man. And to me, that meant something. And I saw how hard he worked at it. And so that carried through with me. But I see people who grow up, and one of the things that we were talking before the show started was about women who say, I'm never going to sound like my mother. I'm never going to do that with my child. And the next thing I hear from them is, I was opening my mouth and my mother's voice came out. I was talking exactly the same way. Yeah. See, we don't need to minimize the influence of family. We need to maximize the influence of family. And we need to involve our family. It's important for them to be part of our lives and us to be part of theirs. We need that to be a continuum. It used to be back in the day, where the family all stayed in the same house. And the parents, somebody got married, they went into the house, and the parents moved to a different part of the house. And the parents died living in that house. And if they were invalid, the family took care of them. Mm-hmm. But, boy, we just ship everybody off, and people move off, and they move in different areas. And we don't realize that makes life harder emotionally, spiritually for us. It's just harder. There's something about just listening. I wish our viewers could see you talking about your dad and the Kentucky Derby. Wow. When you come in, and to me, I grew up in Oklahoma, horse race. That didn't mean anything to me, but to you, watching your face, and you're there, and you're in the middle. And I loved when you said, we didn't shower on Kentucky Derby.
There wasn't time. You just kept going.
You just changed clothes. And I went, man, see, but that's a special, powerful, emotional, spiritual moment. And I want our audience to hear that, to hear, don't let that go. Don't let, if you have a Christmas celebration with family, are there going to be some inconveniences? Yeah. Are you going to have to stretch a little? Yeah. But the benefit of it, wow. It's an incredible emotional and spiritual benefit for being around and gathering together and
See,
touching lives.
that's what's so troubling to me is that I think maybe it's too late to go back, but I think we've lost a lot of that. Part of it is because families are separated by many miles. It used to be people lived in the same area.
You bet.
And now, you could have somebody living in California or Texas, or it isn't that they don't love each other or that you wouldn't want to be together, but that's just the way our world is today. And
Peggy,
we've lost
part of
something.
that is priority and planning. It's fascinating how we'll plan to go eat someplace, but we won't plan together with our family. And it's not like Christmas isn't going to happen on the 25th of December. As far as I'm aware, this year it's happening on the 25th of December. Even though we're in May, it's still happening on the 25th. Oh, they've not changed it. It's not a movable issue. It's a stable issue. So you and I can sit down and get your piece of paper out, and I get my piece of paper out, and start making plans, start saving money so that we can get together. If we've chosen to live somewhere else, we also can choose to come together. And what we're saying today is people are minimizing and kind of pushing away the importance of getting together. And what we're saying today is, big mistake. There is so much to be mined emotionally from getting with family. It's so important to sit down and communicate and connect. But we were preached, I think it came out of the 70s, do your own thing, go your own way, be your own person. Even though no man's an island, the more you're like an island, things will be great. And what we're saying is that is hooey. People don't gain by separating, they lose by separating.
So the message that I hear from you is that people should make an effort, even if it's painful sometimes, to try to, for the benefit of, if maybe you don't care about it yourself, but for the benefit of the next generation, the children, if you can find a way to have a picnic or a hike or something and just bring people together, that's what they'll remember when they grow up.
And I can show you how important that is to me. When my big brother, who lives in Oklahoma, came to a wedding in Atlanta, I had realized that he had not met my oldest grandson. And so I called him and said, when you come down to that wedding, I'll drive from Greenville and pick you up so you guys can meet each other. It was important to me and my psyche for them to meet and see each other. Oldest son has my brother. Oldest son has AJ. See, and them meeting together. And do I know that anything special? I don't know if anything special happened. But I know they've met. I know they got to talk. I know they got to see each other. And what was the funniest thing for my grandson is, to me, you have a brother? He couldn't believe it. And then what was funny is everybody watching him talk and saying, you're not the only person who talks like that. And I said, I told you I wasn't. I grew up with everybody around me talk like that. But in South Carolina, I'm an oddity. I talk differently because I wasn't raised here. And so they got to see that in him. And I think they saw that I was connected to another family. They saw another family was important to me. They saw they were important to me. And did I have to spend the time, money, and energy to go down and get my brother? You bet. Did he have to spend the time, money, and energy to come up with me and fly back from Greenville? You bet. Those were choices. Those were family priority choices. And when we look back on things that you talk about with your father in Kentucky. Those were family priority choices. Now, they were more prevalent back in that day and more noticeable, but it was still the same thing. Not everybody was a Kentucky Colonel.
No.
Not everybody was influenced by the Kentucky Derby. Not everybody ate dinner on Friday and socialized with people for 2 or 3 days. No, that wasn't regular. That was Kentuckian. And just bringing that up, I could say it brings you back there. And we're not doing enough of that. Psychologically, I'm saying need to do more of that. I don't care if you live in South Carolina. I don't care if you live in North Carolina. I don't care if you live in Tennessee. If you get people together who've had that influence, it takes them a second. I mean, just the snap of a finger, and they're back there. And knowing you're connected and connecting with people is...
And this is important for the next generation.
Yes.
For the children to feel the connection from the older generation.
Right. It's kind of...
And that's what we're
emotional.
losing. That's what we're losing because
Yes,
families are scattered everywhere.
Right. And they
even
won't make the effort. Oh.
And it's painful.
Yes. And it's easy to move yourself from your family and think it's easier. And the bottom line is, like you're saying today, and I think it's very powerful, we are upping the importance of the next generation. It is powerful for the kids and the grandkids to see who raised you, who was with you. You know,
Who was important in your life as you were young and growing up.
yes.
And even though families are scattered and sometimes they don't have the financial ability or the time, if you have families living in California or some way far away, but you can find a way to make something important.
Yes, that's a prioritize. That's prioritizing.
Yeah.
It's what bothers me is when people say, well, if I go to this concert, that's real important. And they'll spend a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of energy going to this concert. But flying to see you for the holiday, well, I don't got the time, I don't go, I can't make it. And they use an excuse.
We
And
need
that's
to help.
devastating.
We need to help people find a way to do this, and especially if you have children. If it doesn't have to be an expensive thing. Have a picnic in the
Amen.
park and
Amen.
let everybody bring something. And
Yes.
if it, 2 hours, and let the kids be there with you. Let them see that this has meaning, and when they grow up, that's what they'll remember. We've got to go to a break. We'll be right back.